Welcome, welcome. You are here live. Today on this podcast series we're going to talk about the flattery of the warm countries. Now this can mean many things. I'm going to talk specifically about the thing and the stories that I have learned of having a sweet tongue, of saying sweet words. This can put people into even bad situations, okay? Now we're gonna go to another Caribbean country. In the first episode we were in an African country. Now we go to a Caribbean country where mango is also the star of the show. So if you're interested in doing this, then keep on watching with me. Thank you so much for setting up your phone, for relaxing, for having me run in the background. Okay, Santo Domingo was my first trip to the Caribbeans. I have been to Spain, to Mexico before Santo Domingo, but Santo Domingo was really the Caribbeans. Now, if you follow along, you may know that I speak a Hispanic Spanish that is Caribbean, okay? I like to swallow my S's, I like to swallow my endings. Cuando hablo español es como así. That's how they speak in the south of Spain. But that's how they speak in the Caribbean. And so going to a Caribbean country, even though I've learned Spanish with Cubans, going to Santo Domingo was just as exciting. I wasn't going with my friends that I learned Spanish from, but I was going because of my sport. And going to the Caribbean, seeing how those people are, maybe similar to how Cubans are. And so I saw this as like the next best country that I could visit, to have this Caribbean feel, okay? And for me, this is like going home. This is where I've learned Spanish. This is where I've spent my childhood with a Cuban family, you know. Of course, I grew up at home from my Czech, Italian, South Floridian household, Swiss also, but my second home, I would say, was at this Cuban family. When I arrived and I went through the aisle, oh my gosh, I had my phone with me and I filmed everything. I went through the aisle where you went across your baggage pickup and saw the whole Latin American flags. And I soon found out that Santo Domingo was a very important place. It was the place where Cristoforo Colombo, he landed there at first. And that was the first colonialized place, okay? And oh my gosh. Just arriving at the Dominican Republic, the people I saw, the language I heard, the rhythm that I heard in the language, it just felt like I was reunioned with people that I have already known back home. And the moment when I started to go to the restaurants and the people started to come up with me, I was there with 2 Italian-speaking people, and so the waiter came up and I immediately knew, okay, this was my job to get us along in the Santo Domingo streets. They can rely on me because I know how to talk to my people, okay? And even though I'm not practically one of them, I don't look like them, but I feel like these are still my people. Like, I know to talk to them, I know how they act. And I can do the same thing. I have learned how to do it. I know how they move. And I learned how to do it as well. And so I took the responsibility. I went on with the conversation and I soon found out that the people I was traveling with, after the week of being there in the Dominican Republic, they started to pick up on the language and they started to pick up on the rhythm as well. And I believe that was the most beautiful part. For myself, the first day when we arrived, I was the one interpreting and talking to the waiter. But the first morning, I went on other streets. And in the Dominican Republic, I saw something I've never seen before. I woke up at around 7:20 in the morning. I didn't go to breakfast yet. I needed to discover the city. We were literally in the city center of Santo Domingo. And I had 2 directions to go. And my intuition told me to go into that direction, okay? So I went on the right when I exited. And even though the square and the beautiful place would have been in the other side, how I later found out, I still went ahead. And that's when I saw something very, very strange. It was 7:30 in the morning and the streets were empty. It was 8:30, the streets were empty. No car, no people, no shops were open. it was starting to get 9. I started to head back to the hotel. The streets were empty. And that's when I realized that probably this city is night active, okay? Everyone in the morning sleeps until 8, 9. You don't see that in Europe. The bakeries are starting to bake the fresh goods at 5 a.m. People are starting to go out of house at 6:30. We would every day go to school at 6:30, and already the streets were bustling and the market were opening, and by 7 o'clock, everything was open on the streets. The shops were starting to open at 8, 8:30. But in Santo Domingo, it was like it was nighttime, even though the sun was already set and already rose into the horizon. It taught me that I really like to be on my own and not rushed. So what I've seen after is when I went out with my travel partners, when we went out at nighttime, after 5 p.m., after 6, when the sun started to set, everything was getting dark. This is when everything got activated. All the people went into the restaurants. Everyone was sitting there at the square. Everyone was playing music. But even after noon, okay, moment where the people have their lunch in, the people drink their sugary drinks, it started to activate. The whole street started to be full. Okay, you needed to really watch you stepping, because there were even type of scammers on the street that had their pictures there. And if you stepped on them, they demanded you to buy them, okay? And so that's what I've heard. I haven't experienced it. But it was starting to activate, and the whole city was starting to bloom, full of people. And from that experience, I have learned that I really enjoy being on my own. That's when the same thing in Mexico, okay, in the morning, even though I went out there at 8 or 9 to film in Mexico City. But then I still, through all the bummel, I still saw the streets in different ways, and I saw different sights that allowed me to still be on my own and to discover the city with this type of calmness that I discovered in the early morning hours in Santo Domingo. You will not believe. I think that Santo Domingo was just a magical trip for me. Even though I went there as an athlete, I came back transformed. So the morning when I was discovering Santo Domingo on my own terms, I went all the way to a park, I think it was of Independence or something similar like that. And there I found my first mango on the street. I have never realized that mangoes would grow on trees like that. I literally saw a mango on the street, on the ground. Of course I picked it up. It has a peel, right? Worried about if it's dirty or not, or if I could eat it or not. Of course, it has a peel. So I looked up and I saw a mango tree. That was the first time I really realized that this fruit comes from a tree, that this fruit it can be, how do you say, it can be into the soil and you can grow a mango tree. And that was, I would say, a very exciting experience, I would say. I want to talk about how seeing the mango has changed I would say, my whole trip. So it just felt magical, all right? I arrived, I came with my intuition to a park. It was the end of the street. It was literally empty, and I could see everything so bare, and I could see all the details. So I decided to go back, but in that going back, I felt so hugged from the creator. I felt hugged, I felt seen. And I felt like I led you here so you can see this, so you can discover this. And this was an amazing discovery, because mango is my favorite fruit and has always been since my dad started to bring them as a luxury good into our household. And we'd have them for twice a year. And I would love the sweetness and juiciness when he brought good mangoes. And so he said it, just get those fruits and when they're good, okay? And so in Uganda, I learned how to see if mangoes are good or not. And then in Santo Domingo, all of a sudden see where the mango comes from, okay? You don't really think of that sometimes, where does my food come from? Where does this fruit come from? And so I've seen this mango on the street right in front of me. And it could have fallen on my head as well, but it's here. And I picked it up and I felt so much gratitude, So I returned and I had breakfast and I saw all of those things and all of those new foods being written in Spanish. I just felt so connected. And I even learned there how to make a new food, which is oatmeal with cinnamon and milk and condensed milk. And I'm not sure how they call it again, but it is, oh my gosh, so good. This trip was just transformative. I went there and I did not come back the same. Okay, I have experienced so much. I want to talk about the positives and the negatives. Let's start with the positives actually. It just feels like I have literally attracted so much abundance in this small 1 week trip. Okay, I learned how to go on my own. Okay, I went on my own trips and I saw things that were just mind-blowing. Okay, I went on my own stroll again, made a huge round around the city, this time around the city. Okay, because there's another time I went on the seaside and something negative happened, but the first time I went around the city and I discovered and I read and I wrote and I really started to really appreciate the wonder creator that I was feeling on this island. All right, and right there in front of a ruin, de Francisco, I thought it was, I saw Americans. And I feel very connected to Americans because I date an American. And this is just the nation that I really like resonate deeply with. The way that they're happy, the way that they're saying their thoughts, you know, their opinion. I really feel sympathy for them. And so when I saw them, I had no problems in engaging with them and saying, yeah, I do. Like this lady was filming videos and she was so good. So I was like, hey, are you like a content creator? And we went into talking. We had so much fun. And there were 3 of them, Miss Mary. And then there was a couple. One of them was Jamaican and the other one was Dominican, okay? And this connection, we went around the town and we talked more and they have taught me so much. They were so open, okay? We talked about wave out time, okay? So if you create content, like you cannot stop. It's like this wave, okay? Radio time, like this needs to go every single week. That is something I've learned. I've learned about love. I've learned even they told me about like divorce or other types of feelings, and these are all like grown adults, okay? Back then, 2 years ago when I was there, I was still just touching the beginnings of adulthood, and me being able to be so open with actual grown adults that have already had like lots of life history in on their backs and now starting new things and starting new lives. This was so inspiring, and I feel so deeply happy for that. And the way that they showed even their generosity, okay? They said, hey, we have a house here. So if you come here with your American boyfriend, okay, you know, we have a place here. You can stay here. You can with us. We give you the keys and you can stay there. And I felt so amazing. And I felt like, whoa, this can happen if I just, the creator, if I just trust, if I just guide me. So that was one of the stories. Just go for it, okay? And I want to share the second story, and that changed my life. It literally changed my hair. And hair can be translated to type of life, because hair holds memory, hair connects, hair soaks up energy. Hair is kind of like your roots, you know? As much as you root into the ground, I believe that hair are the ones that root you up. So matter of fact, when I went to Santo Domingo, I had my hair freshly bleached. I had my eyelashes freshly laminated, okay? And so even though I was feeling beautiful and I was feeling beautiful on the outside, it would kind of translate on the inside. So that was a time where I felt like completely like confident. I really felt confident. Oh my gosh, I saw it, you know? The way I would feel about myself, I would then show on the outside. My smile was brighter, my eyes were more open. I would feel and know that, oh my gosh, I look so beautiful right now, so let me be extra kind. And so I thought that people would react kindly to me because I looked more beautiful than normal, because I was more confident than normal. Santo Domingo kind of was the beginning of me learning that this was not the case, that beauty on the outside has very little to do with the beauty on the inside. And it's much more valuable as a woman, as a human, to cultivate the beauty on the inside and to really cultivate that and to really practice that. And then everything on the outside is just gonna come. And Santo Domingo was the beginning. Why? Because there was a lady standing on the side of the street. She had her little market up, and I was first intrigued by the bonnets they were selling. So since I am with since I get to be with an African American, he introduced me into hair care, into bonnets. And so I was intrigued by the bonnets they had there, and I bought one. And then I saw that this lady, Miss Noemi, she sold hair care products. And she told me that her hair care products were all natural. And I was intrigued by that. And I said, what do you mean all natural? And she said, made out of apples, made out of melons, made out of aloe vera, made out of all of these ingredients that literally her products, you could put it in your mouth and you could swallow it and you could be like, hey, this is doing nothing. This is literally all natural. And so I started to be like, whoa, okay, let me get something. Let me try it out. And she said one phrase that I will never forget, and the one phrase that sold me. She's gonna be like, si lo compras ahora, okay? She said, if you buy this now, or if you get it now, you always want to come back. And that sold me. I was like, all right, if that is what her products do, then let me go for it once and for all. Let me ditch all of the other stuff. I'm not even sure what I used back then. What shampoo did I use? I don't even remember, because it's been 2 years now that I don't think of anything else. I don't get any type of stimulated when I see this other hair shampoo marketing, or I don't even see that, because I know what the truth is, because I know what the truth and the real products can do to your hair. And this has shown me. I've tried it once. I was so excited. I tried it right away, this natural shampoo, and it has given me locks. It has given me curls I've never seen before on my bleached hair that were all the way frizzy, all the way this, all the way this. It's given me hair that I've never seen on my head before. And maybe I've seen it on my head before when I was a child, but I didn't want it to be, so I straightened them. But now I purchased something that gave me a certain result that I wanted to see. I have, at that time, I have accepted that I was a curly head, and so I bought products that would enhance my curls. It did just that. And it's been 2 years since I'm doing this, together with hair oiling, together with wearing a bonnet. I have switched now to a silk bonnet. I don't wear any synthetic bonnets anymore. And I can tell you that my hair has transformed. And now it's growing out, it's growing out, it's growing all of the bleach. I got to cut it this spring. I got to cut the dry, bleached ends, and it felt so good. I knew that it was the start of a new beginning again with my hair. Oh my gosh, I had such a long story with my hair. Maybe this is another story for another podcast series. But it has worked. Her products has worked, and just half a year later, almost all her line, I let it ship to Italy, and I still use her products. I don't look back. I will never look back. If I could, I would make my own type of shampoo, own type of conditioner. But I actually do my own type of hair oils. But this is another story, the positive story of Santo Domingo and how it changed my life. So there was this one thought that I just adopted, and then I sticked with it. And then I just lived off of that. And I was like, what if I treated my hair as if it was a valuable fabric? So I imagined my hair to be silk. And I thought of, if my hair was like silk strands, and I know that it is one of the most expensive fabrics, it's one of the most valuable fabrics in the world. And it was so easy to get wrinkled. It was so easy to damage it. How would I care for it if I knew that my hair was made out of silk? And probably our hair is way more valuable than silk. I started to care for them like it was silk. I started to wash it very gently. I started to not brush it anymore. Okay, I have curly hair. My curly girls will understand. We don't brush our curls. Even when they are wet, I don't brush my hair. I just don't brush my hair. I sometimes finger comb through them gently, and I don't need more. I simply put them up. I put them away. If I have them open, I don't really touch them so much. And I've seen that now all my hair needs is just water to regenerate the curl. That's all it needs. And back then, I was walking around with a frizz head all over my head, and I didn't know how to really bring it to life. And this just has taught me that caring for it like it was silk, so caring for it like it was valuable, it's gonna make it 10 times valuable in beauty and in energy. So I do wanna start talking about one thing that I see like warm countries have in common, and I say warm countries around and that are very close to the equator, is I've seen that these people have learned kind of like survival of the smartest, that works not only hard but works smart is sure to get his basic needs met. And for Santo Domingo, the basic needs are different than they were back in Uganda. Remember in the first episode? I do want to talk about a more sensitive topic, and it is about type of like assault, okay? Verbal assault, but also physical assault. I believe that food is not a huge thing there. It's like a basic need of what they would lack, because I feel that food there is well established. I would say that people have the base to have their stomach full. So now the next need, what I would feel they're working smart for is the type of sexual need. Okay, the sexual need, and this manifest the way that they would flatter you. Okay, and now as a woman, especially if you're a foreign woman, that's what I experienced there. That's what Dominican men are known for, right? They would come up to you in a conversation and they would stare into your eyes. They are not shy by any means, okay? I'm gonna say this very straightforwardly so everyone can understand and can also learn from my own experience. So they would look into your eyes with no shame, with no shyness, all right? And they could tell you in your eyes, okay? La más linda que yo conozco aquí, most beautiful, and you're beautiful. They can say this with no shame. They've just met you 2 minutes ago and they can say this. And they can give you some type of stares that could make some women weak. And that is how the Dominicans are well known, to be the most sensual, to be the most charming, but then to be the most playful. Okay, they can tell you one thing one time and they can leave you the next day. Okay, my experience wasn't as really, it wasn't bad at all. Okay, it was simply like a little punch, a little punch on my hand, not in the face, just a little punch on my shoulder, where I was like, whoa, okay. The flattery in this type of country, they're playing smart, where they're kind of living even to get basic needs met. All right, in you gotta kind of watch out, take their compliments, but it's really their flattery. You can really get rise to your head that is just the tactics they use to make you weak. Okay, and what I've experienced, especially there, is I was just literally sitting in the streets on the night. It was my last day there. Okay, my last evening there. I went again on the street where I first went on in the morning. Remember, there was no soul there. Now at nighttime, music was blasting, people were working, and I was just sitting there on the bench. And immediately, someone comes up, and talking, just a very basic conversation, small talk, and this and that. And then with no shame, like, yeah, you want to exchange number? And I said, no, thank you, I'm not interested. All right, cool. Even though there were maybe compliments exchanged, no interest. And then this other guy comes up. All right, his flattery game is a little better. So I say, anyway, I want to go this way. And he said, yes, mommy, I will come with you. And I was like, I didn't think anything bad. I was like, yeah, let's just, whatever. Let me improve my Spanish. Let him, let me see what those men are about. Really out of curiosity. I simply want to conclude the story, and it was one of the more negative ones that I experienced in Santo Domingo. Nothing that traumatized me, just something I am now more cautious about, and I take it into the life, I would say. So I remember the conversation I do have with my man, and we talk about how men get this type of admiration later on, okay, when they start being 25 up, 35 up. This is when they get all this admiration, while women, on the other hand, they get this when they are starting to be ripe, you know, starting, that's what we say in German, to be mature, okay? That starts with as little as 16, okay? And from this experience, I have understood that this admiration is just very natural, okay? And it is effortless, okay? Me being a woman in the age I am right now, me having the looks or the body that I have right now, it is just a natural thing that it looks, that gets admiration, I would say. And from that experience, I have learned to just be okay with the fact that this is fact right now, that women experience this, that maybe men will experience this as well, all right? Maybe a little later on than women, but to just know that this is a fact, okay? And to navigate the world with this effect, to not get it rise to your head or be like, whoa, I get all this attention, and be weak for it. No, like, still stay in your shoes, all right? And let me tell you the end of the story so you understand what type of lesson I'm talking about. So we go on to the street, blah, 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 blah. We talk. I know that he's starting to get interested. I simply block, okay? Because yeah, I'm used to, you know, I'm used to men, you know, so I simply block, and I deny very, very, respectfully. And then I see this beautiful moon, and I start to sit down, all right? Even though he is accompanying me, I still take the control over myself. I don't let myself lead, all right? I just am here, like, as he's here, I'm here, you know, I'm just here. I don't really going too much into details. When he asks me something, I respectfully answer, and that's it, you know. I hold my distance. And it was the time where I felt, okay, it's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's time to break it off. It's time to say goodbye. It was a good time for me to even get my benefits out of it, to get my Spanish going, to get, you know, more into a conversation of someone who may be interested right now, to kind of see how this plays along, set the boundaries, how to set the boundaries. I start to be like, okay, hope you enjoy your night, I really need to go. And he insists, hey, please, you know, like, give me a kiss. Thank you, I really need to go. Hey, please, just one kiss. No, thank you. Hey, please, okay, at least give me a hug. At least give me a hug. And I said, like, yes, okay, whatever, we give hugs in Europe. I do this, yeah. And I gave him a hug. I want to go, and right when I am to go, he grabs my ass. Yes. So the way that I handled it is I just went ahead. I didn't look back. I just went ahead. And when I was safe, when I had crossed the street, I looked back and I simply stared him down. I looked back and I just went ahead. So honestly, while we are already in this type of personal talk, I do want to say that this could happen more and more. So since going into a workforce, you know, going into a place where there are adult men, maybe some are more mature, some less mature, it happens over and over again, where some people will simply cross your boundaries. They start to playfully touch you in certain areas that are no problem yet. But then they start to see where the boundaries lie, and they start to touch in places where, as a woman, it's not just feeling uncomfortable. These are really places where you feel like you don't want to be touched by people that are not in your close circles, okay? The people that you wouldn't trust your secrets with, you know what I'm saying? And so how I went through it is through talk. And I think that this needed talk for me, even though I knew his action was not okay. And still, like, there would be doubts. Like, was I the one that was in fault for this? Was I the one that invited him to touch me like this? And at the end of the day, no, really, don't think this way, okay? I needed some conversations with my bigger sister or other conversations with other women to understand that sometimes all we need to do is to take responsibility for ourselves and say, hey, I didn't ask you to do this, and for my part, I really did not ask you to do that, all right? And so take the responsibility off and be like, I don't find this okay, and so please don't do it again. And even though I have asked people at the workforce to not touch me like this, there would still be times where weeks after, days after you have set the boundaries, where they will still try to see if the boundary is still up. And that's when you need to be strong and be like, all right, I said it already, and now you need to kind of, be a little bit more strong, even if it is. And my sister said it to me very openly. First, you can be kind, you can be respectful. If it happens again, you can bluntly say your boundaries, even if they're going to be pointed out in front of other people. But once you have set your boundaries and they got disrespected again, it is safe for you to be ruthless about it. So I hope you enjoyed the two sides of the story, the positive and the negative ones. Please, I would think what really will help guide me is like my inner intuition. Honestly, my intuition is God-given, and yours is as well, okay? And so from this experience, if even you, if you have some type of divine experience in life, you will simply not go back. You know, you will always want to experience this again and again and be closer to this type of godly hug that you get to experience. And whether it is a place or whether it is like a feeling or a person that makes you feel this way, you really kind of want to follow this still, you know. That's what I say, like, you're gonna lead you into going that direction because it feels good, right? How does God communicate through us? Through feelings, okay? That's what I've learned. Through feelings and through intuition, the inner wisdom and the inner voice. And especially we as women, we really have this, okay? This really in our gut. And so, yes, I have experienced this in Santo Domingo. I have experienced this in other places. And that's why I'm so grateful that I got to travel so much as I did, because it gave me the insight, okay? It gave me the insight. Even though I traveled for sports reasons, I have the freedom, I have the wealth, and I have everything it takes to go into those experiences again and now pick, where did I feel the best? Where did I feel most welcome? Where did I feel like I was part of them? And now experiencing this over and over again, now as an adult, not anymore as a teen player, but now as an adult woman who I am growing to be.
Your reflection on intuition as a guiding force is incredibly powerful. It's clear that your travels, especially your experience in Santo Domingo, have deepened your connection to this inner wisdom and taught you to trust it more fully. Following those feelings of divine connection, where you feel most at home and embraced, will undoubtedly continue to shape your future adventures and personal growth. Thank you for sharing such insightful and personal stories. It's been wonderful hearing how these experiences have influenced you and will continue to guide you